Chapter 4751. Qin Shixin nodded. That's right, Great Elder. It's possible. Bailey Hongzhuang went to the D family after I left. I can't control this. Maybe Di Hengyun was under too much pressure before, so he became an 8th grade alchemist at this stage. Jun Xianxiao frowned. What happened this time was very different from what they had expected. Now, the whole Jun family was waiting for them to bring back good news. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. At this moment, Jun Zitao and the others couldn't help but exclaim, "How is this possible?" Hearing this, Jun Xianxiao and the others couldn't help but look at the rankings. There were 3 words written on the 25th place, Di Yunhe. Jun Xianxiao stared at the name for a long time, then looked at Qin Shixin gloomily. What do you have to say now? If only Di Hengyun had reached the 8th grade, it might have been a coincidence. But both of them had reached the 8th grade, and they didn't know about it at all. If Qin Shixin hadn't hidden it from them, there was no other possibility. Qin Shixin stared at the rankings in a daze. He even rubbed his eyes in disbelief. How? How is this possible? Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun had sandwiched him in the middle. At this moment, he didn't care that his score was lower than Di Yunhe's. He just wanted to explain to Jun Xianxiao. However, in this situation, no matter how he explained, it was useless. Even he couldn't believe it. The Jun family looked at Qin Shixin with hatred. They thought that it was a good plan to poach Medicine Master Qin, but they didn't expect that they would be tricked by the D family. After all this trouble, Qin Shixin turned out to be a member of the D family. No wonder they lost so badly. Feeling the Jun family's gaze, Qin Shixin stepped back with a pale face. He really couldn't explain it. Of course, this scene didn't escape the eyes of the D family. Suddenly, they felt a burst of joy. Qin Shixin deserved this kind of punishment for betraying them. At this moment, Di Beichen's voice suddenly rang out. Medicine Master Qin, you did a good job. We won't mistreat you. Qin Shixin was still thinking about how to explain, but when he heard Di Beichen suddenly say such a thing to him like a brother, and then looked at the Jun family's people who wished they could kill him, he really wanted to cry. But was his words useful now? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Beichen with a smile. Beichen, you're really good at tricking people. You have to pay for what you did. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Qin Shixin. Sure enough, after this incident, Qin Shixin was afraid that there was really no way out. The Jun family would never let him go. Under such circumstances, no other family would come forward to protect him. If he was a person who valued friendship and righteousness, there might be people who would stand up for him and protect him. However, it was obvious that people like him wouldn't have such loyal friends. When the Xiao family saw that the Jun family had turned against them, they all felt uncomfortable. They could have laughed at the Jun family, but now, they were on the same side as the Jun family. There was no changing it. Chapter 4752. The Xiao family's alchemist performed well and reached the 16th place. If it were before, this ranking would definitely make them very happy, but now they couldn't be happy. The Lin family's alchemist ranking was relatively low, and the other alchemist was eliminated directly. However, Elder Lin was not in a hurry now because the Jun family had won a lot of slots this time. With the close relationship between the two families, it was not a problem to get some slots from them. I was wondering if I could give you some slots. Now it seems that our Lin family is going to take advantage of you. Lin Xuanren couldn't help but smile. Di Chuyuan also laughed, no problem. Isn't this a simple matter? At this moment, he actually felt surprised. In the past, alchemy competition had always been their family's weakness. He didn't expect it to suddenly become their strength. It's already in the top 10, but the name of second cousin-in-law hasn't appeared yet. Lin Yi couldn't help but rub her hands. Her face was full of excitement. The faces of Di Xiaofeng and others also showed a look of expectation. As a matter of fact, the top 10 were usually occupied by the 9th-grade alchemists of the Alchemist Guild. The Di family had never gotten such a good ranking. "Master, I don't know what place you will be." Xiao Hei's eyes flashed with excitement. In fact, such a result was already outstanding, but she always felt that her master's ranking would be better. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the score on the ranking list and shook her head thoughtfully. "I don't know, but I will know soon." After looking carefully, she found that Ouyang Jifeng's name had not appeared yet. It seems that Ouyang Jifeng is really powerful. According to the 7th elder, the top 10 were basically all 9th-grade alchemists. The reason why she could get such a good result was mainly that she got full marks in the second round. This Ouyang Jifeng could also enter the top 10, which showed his talent. 5th place, Ouyang Jifeng. Finally, everyone saw Ouyang Jifeng's name in anticipation. There was a burst of exclamations from the audience. With Ouyang Jifeng's age, he was able to obtain such a quota. In the future, he would definitely win the alchemy competition. Ouyang Jifeng is indeed a genius. Such a ranking is simply the pride of the younger generation. Ouyang Jifeng is indeed powerful. Originally, he was in the limelight in this alchemy competition. Who would have thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would suddenly appear? Now, he is not the most eye-catching one. Bailey Hongzhuang's ranking is still not out yet. This result is a little scary. Everyone discussed animatedly. Even the other grade 9 alchemists were practically ignored by everyone at this moment. After Ouyang Jifeng saw his ranking, his expression was very calm. He turned to look at Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling the other party's gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang revealed a smile. Then, she saw Ouyang Jifeng give her a thumbs up. 3rd place, Zhou Yan, the 3 rounds of scores are 98, 90, 90. 2nd place, Heng Rui, the 3 rounds of scores are 98, 91, 90. Until now, Bailey Hongzhuang's name still had not appeared. Everyone already understood in their hearts. This is too scary. The Di family's Bailey Hongzhuang is actually 1st place. I have never heard of the alchemy competition being won by a 20-something alchemist. Chapter 47-53. Everyone in the Di family had already expected that Bailey Hongzhuang's results would not be bad, but when they saw this result at this moment, they still couldn't believe it. Second cousin-in-law actually won 1st place. Lin Yi's eyes widened. This feeling was as if she had ascended to the clouds and stepped on the clouds. She was so happy that she couldn't believe that this was true. Di Xiaofeng and others also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment. This score was indeed beyond all of their expectations. Not only them, but Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but be stunned for a moment when she heard this result. According to her judgment, it was already good enough to enter the top 5. She really didn't think about getting 1st place. Just when the Di family and the Lin family were immersed in joy, Xiao Sou's questioning voice suddenly sounded. "This is impossible. There is a problem with the score." When everyone saw that Xiao Sou began to find trouble at this time, they were too lazy to pay attention to her. Because previously, whenever Bailey Hongzhuang had a good result, Xiao Sou would definitely find trouble, but it turned out that she was wrong in the end. Thinking about it, it was the same this time, so everyone was too lazy to take it to heart. Seeing that no one paid attention to her at all, Xiao Sou's face was also ashen. The highest score for an 8th grade medicinal pill is only 80 points. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang's score in the 3rd round reached 80 points, she can't surpass the score of the 2nd place. Xiao Se Wu raised her voice so that everyone around her could hear her clearly. She had reason and evidence to back up her words. Originally, no one paid attention to her, but after hearing her words at this moment, everyone calculated a little and found that what she said was really right. Yes, Miss Xiao is right. There is indeed a problem with this score. I didn't expect such a problem to appear in this alchemy competition. We must raise it. That scared me. So it was a calculation error. I was wondering how Bailey Hongzhuang could get first place at such a young age. That's just too shocking. Bailey Hongzhuang took a closer look at the second place's score after hearing the crowd's discussion. It was just as the crowd had said. Her score shouldn't be higher than the second place's. Just as everyone was guessing, the name of the first place was revealed. It was none other than Bailey Hongzhuang. First place, Bailey Hongzhuang. Her scores for the 3 rounds are 99,185 respectively. Everyone's attention was immediately attracted by Bailey Hongzhuang's score in the 3rd round. Sure enough, the score was calculated wrongly. Bailey Hongzhuang's score was actually 5 points higher. At the same time, some attentive cultivators also noticed another problem. Don't be anxious. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang took away the 5 points from the 3rd round, her score would still be the same as the second place's score. She could still be considered as tied for first place. Speaking of which, Bailey Hongzhuang is still in first place. Xiao Shou was originally feeling complacent about her discovery, but after listening to everyone's words, she took a closer look, and the smile on her face dissipated a little. No matter what, there must be a problem with the score. Furthermore, being tied for first place would also pull Bailey Hongzhuang's limelight down a little. That's true. The crowd nodded. At this moment, Lu Yuhai stood up and waved his hand at the crowd who had raised their doubts. Instantly, the crowd quietened down. Chapter 47-54. Hearing Lu Yuhai's words, everyone looked at the high platform, wondering what kind of explanation he would give. Bailey Hongzhuang was also confused, but she didn't feel disappointed at all. She never wanted to have any honor that didn't belong to her, not to mention that today's results had already exceeded her expectations. I believe everyone already knows that Bailey Hongzhuang refined the long-lost 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. Lu Yuhai's voice sounded. Just because she refined a long-lost pill, she can get an extra 5 points. The cultivators below the stage couldn't help but question. In the alchemy competition, a difference of 1 point could make a difference in the rankings, let alone 5 points. The reason why she got an extra 5 points is not because she refined a long-lost pill. Everyone, please listen to me patiently. I believe some of you know about the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. This pill belongs to the 8th grade, and there's a reason why it's called the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. Every time a first revolution pill appears, an elixir pattern will appear. A perfect 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill will have 8 elixir patterns. In the rules of the alchemy competition, there has always been a rule. When an alchemist refines a perfect elixir, they can get an extra 5 points. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present suddenly understood. However, this answer made them even more surprised. I heard that it's very difficult to refine a perfect elixir. This kind of elixir can maximize the medicinal effect. It's said that other than the old president, no other alchemist has been able to refine an elixir of this level. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang has done it? No way, Bailey Hongzhuang's talent is too amazing. Everyone's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. They didn't expect such a shock at the end of the alchemy competition. Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun looked at each other. Both of their eyes were filled with astonishment. There is indeed such a rule in the alchemy competition. However, no alchemist has been able to do so for so many years. Over time, everyone has forgotten about it, Di Yunhe said. I didn't expect second young mistress to have refined a real 8 turns Bodhi pill. This is really rare. Di Hengyun sighed. Lin Yi and other young disciples looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in amazement. Although they didn't know much about alchemy, they could tell how difficult it was to achieve this step from the stunned expressions of other alchemists. So many alchemists were unable to do it, yet Bailey Hongzhuang was able to do it. How formidable was this? After seeing the look of realization on everyone's face, Lu Yuhai's face also showed a smile. I believe that everyone should understand the origin of these scores now that I've explained it to this point. At this time, the alchemist ranked second spoke up, Miss Bailey is able to refine perfect-grade medicinal pills. She is indeed worthy of such a score. This one is wholeheartedly convinced. After everyone saw that the second-ranked alchemist no longer had any objections, they all nodded their heads and accepted this result. Xiao Sou didn't expect such a result in the end. She couldn't help but ask the alchemist in her family. Is it really so difficult to refine a perfect elixir? Chapter 47-55. Hearing this, Xiao Sou's body trembled and her face turned pale. She knew that it was not easy to refine a perfect-grade pill, but she did not know how difficult it was. However, she knew how difficult it was to become a 10th-grade pill refiner. If Bailey Hongzhuang could become a 10th-grade pill refiner in the future, then just this point alone would make Bailey Hongzhuang a dazzling member of the younger generation. Ouyang Jifeng had always had a very high reputation among the younger generation. The reason was that everyone thought that he was very likely to become the next tier 10 alchemist. Now, it was obvious that Bailey Hongzhuang's potential was more outstanding than Ouyang Jifeng's. She would definitely receive attention that would not be any less than Ouyang Jifeng's. If it was said that she had been arrogant and confident in front of Bailey Hongzhuang before, then all of this was slowly disappearing. At least, before she truly became the saint of the Light Maiden, she no longer had the right to act arrogantly in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xiao Sou indifferently. Her family background was indeed enough to crush many others. However, when a person displayed enough outstanding talent, even if she did not have a background, she would still have an unshakable position. She would protect her man with her own hands. If she wanted to covet her man, she would have to see if she had the right to do so. Thus, the once-in-a-decade pill refining competition came to an end. After the results were announced, Bailey Hongzhuang and the two elders went up on stage to collect their identity cards to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. This identity card was blank. Once a cultivator imbued their aura into the card, their information would be revealed. As the three of them walked down the stage, the faces of the D family were filled with joyful smiles. This time, the D family had really reaped a great harvest. When Qin Shixin came down with his identity card, his expression was extremely awkward. He had thought that today would be his day of limitless glory and that he would become the Jun family's guest of honor. He never thought that he would end up in such a situation. Looking at the identity card in his hand, he didn't feel any joy at all. On the contrary, he felt very miserable. After seeing Qin Shixin come down, Di Beichen looked at Jun Zitao. Second young master of the Jun family, do you still remember our bet? The moment these words came out, Jun Zitao's expression became very ugly. He really regretted it now. If he had known, he would never have made such a bet. She had always thought that the second young master of the D family was a good-for-nothing. Who would have thought that he was actually a wolf in sheep's clothing? This time, he was completely defeated by Di Beichen. Jun Zitao didn't answer Di Beichen. Instead, he looked at Jun Xianxiao, his face pale and powerless. First Elder, Jun Xianxiao naturally knew the stakes of this bet. He couldn't accept such an outcome. The Immortal Cloud's secret realm was an excellent opportunity for the young disciples of every family to gain experience. However, this time, there wasn't a single person left in the family, which obviously affected the development of their disciples. Elder Jun, I remember that before the start of the pill refining competition, you specifically reminded me of this bet. Now that you've lost, don't tell me that you're going to renege on your bet in front of everyone. Di Chuyuan chuckled. He glanced at the crowd behind him and looked at Jun Xianxiao with a faint smile. Jun Xianxiao looked at Di Chuyuan with a malicious gaze. The smile on his face was particularly glaring in his eyes. Here you go. Chapter 47-56. Di Chuyuan held the identity card in his hand and smiled, "Thank you so much, Elder Jun, for giving us such a big gift." Jun Xianxiao snorted and said, "I'll return Qin Shixin to you as well." After that, Jun Xianxiao didn't want to look at Qin Shixin anymore. Everything had been ruined by Qin Shixin. Now, he really didn't want to see this guy anymore. Otherwise, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control his anger and would tear this guy apart in front of everyone. "Let's go." Jun Lingxuan and the others glared at Di Beichen and the others before leaving with Jun Xianxiao. The Di family didn't care about the others' anger. On the contrary, they were in a good mood. When the surrounding big families saw that the Jun family's quota had all fallen into the hands of the Di family, their eyes shone with envy. The Di family is really the big winner of the alchemy competition this time. The number of quotas is terrifying. That's right. We've really watched a good show today. Who would have thought that the Jun family would still be defeated by the Di family in the end, even after scheming so much? The Di family probably won't be able to use up so many quotas. I think we should think of a way to use our resources to exchange for a few quotas from the Di family. For a moment, many families were excited. Compared to the Di family who had so many quotas, most families only had a few quotas. It was not enough at all. There are so many quotas. Our family's disciples can't use them all. Di Xiaofeng's face was full of joy. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. It seems that the family should be able to get a lot of good things this time. Di Chuyuan, who was always serious, was very happy at this moment. His image was completely different from usual. All of this is thanks to Hong Zhuang. Dai Heoan looked emotional. If it weren't for Bailey Hong Zhuang, how could they have achieved such results? Everyone nodded. In their hearts, Bailey Hong Zhuang was the biggest contributor and their lucky star. I'm sure the patriarch and the others will be very surprised when they hear this news. "Second madam, this is all thanks to you," Di Chuyuan said seriously. Bailey Hong Zhuang smiled and said, "I am also a member of the Di family. This is what I should do." Hearing this, everyone laughed. All the gloominess from before completely dissipated at this moment. When Xiao Jinfeng and the others saw how proud the Di family was, they felt a little sad. Even though they had gained a lot this time, they still couldn't feel happy. Because they had made an unwise decision. "Let's go back and celebrate," Di Xiaofeng suggested. Everyone nodded in agreement. The alchemy competition had ended and there was still some time before the opening of the Immortal Cloud Mystery Realm. During this period of time, they had to continue staying in Water Praying City and wait for the arrival of the other disciples of their clans. Sure. Great. Of course. Everyone agreed. At this moment, the Bailey family's team slowly walked past the Di family's team. Bailey Yunyan's gaze fell on Di Xiaofeng. In fact, she didn't pay much attention to the alchemy competition. Instead, she focused more on Di Xiaofeng. Chapter 47-57. The most important thing was that in the process just now, she found that there was always a delicate and lovely woman beside Di Xiaofeng. The two were obviously very close. She wanted to leave directly, but she couldn't help but look at Di Xiaofeng. Compared to a behemoth like the Di family, the Bailey family was just a small family. It was precisely because of this that she never thought that a character like Di Xiaofeng would like her. She always understood the huge gap between the two, but Di Xiaofeng's approach gradually made her greedy. Maybe it's really possible. However, looking at the radiant man at this moment, she deeply felt her insignificance. Di Xiaofeng also noticed Bailey Yunyan while talking, and his gaze suddenly changed a little. "Big cousin, let's go." Lin Yi happily held Di Xiaofeng's hand. "Today, we have to celebrate. We won't go home until we're drunk." This scene fell into Bailey Yunyan's heart, and a trace of bitterness appeared in her eyes. Yes, only such a woman is worthy to stand beside Di Xiaofeng. And I am still too insignificant. Thinking of this, she lowered her head, no longer looked at Di Xiaofeng, and left with the family team. After noticing Bailey Yunyan's action, Di Xiaofeng pulled away Lin Yi's hand and said, "Wait for me." As soon as his voice fell, Di Xiaofeng quickly walked in the direction of Bailey Yunyan. However, Lin Yi looked at her empty hand, and a trace of loss quietly flashed in her dark eyes. Di Xiaofeng quickly walked to the Bailey family's team, and the children of the Bailey family were surprised after seeing Di Xiaofeng approaching. They couldn't get in touch with a character like Di Xiaofeng on normal days. Isn't this the young master of the Di family? Why is he approaching our team? It should be impossible for anyone in our family to know him. Could it be that someone has offended him? That would be troublesome. Just when the children of the Bailey family were guessing, Bailey Yunyan watched Di Xiaofeng's figure gradually approaching, but her heart was pounding. In the end, Di Xiaofeng stopped in front of Bailey Yunyan. "Yunyan, something has happened. I have been staying in the family, so I couldn't tell you. Once I'm done with my family's business, I'll come and find you, okay?" Di Xiaofeng's handsome face was filled with a warm smile. His gaze was shallow as he looked at Bailey Yunyan, but it was inexplicably moving. Bailey Yunyan stared blankly at Di Xiaofeng. She didn't expect Di Xiaofeng to come at this time. Moreover, he didn't seem to have changed at all. Most importantly, when she looked into his clear and resolute eyes, she suddenly felt that the distance between them had closed a little. The members of the Bailey family were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. From the looks of it, could it be that the young master of the Di family likes Yunyan? Isn't this too explosive? If that's really the case, then it's a big deal. Wow, Yunyan is so lucky. I'm so jealous of her. A blush appeared on Bailey Yunyan's face. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, she said, "Yes." Chapter 47-58. Compared to Bailey Yunyan's happiness at this moment, Lin Yi felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. Her eyes followed Di Xiaofeng all the time. After seeing Di Xiaofeng smile to Bailey Yunyan, her hands gradually became cold, and her face began to turn pale. She had never seen Di Xiaofeng smile and gaze. Although Di Xiaofeng was usually very kind to her, something was missing. She understood that it was love. Even though she already knew that Di Xiaofeng didn't like her, when she saw all this with her own eyes, her heart still felt like it was being cut by a knife. She had liked him for so many years. She was determined to marry him since she was a child. Now, he showed such a gentle smile to others. When Bailey Hongzhuang saw Di Xiaofeng go to Bailey Yunyan, her eyes fell on Lin Yi. Come to think of it, this incident must have hit Lin Yi hard. Sure enough, she saw the smile on Lin Yi's face gradually fade away. Her delicate face was pale as if she had lost her soul. She couldn't help but frown and start to feel distressed. Although this situation was within their expectations, they still couldn't help but feel distressed when they saw Lin Yi like this. Seeing this, Lin Qianqian immediately walked to Lin Yi's side. She said with concern and distress, "Yi, don't be sad." Bailey Hongzhuang also walked over and looked at Lin Yi worriedly. Yi, at this time, their comfort was powerless. Words were pale because no matter what they said, they couldn't offset Lin Yi's heartache at this moment. Di Xiaofeng was very fast. After speaking, he quickly walked back. After seeing Di Xiaofeng coming back, Lin Yi smiled again as if nothing had happened. "Big cousin," Lin Yi opened her mouth, but she didn't ask in the end. "Big cousin, let's go back quickly. I'm starving to death." Di Xiaofeng looked at Lin Yi with a complicated expression, then nodded and said, "Okay, let's go back." Seeing this, Lin Qianqian and Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at each other, but they were even more distressed. Lin Yi was completely deceiving herself and numbing herself. She was unwilling to accept this reality. However, judging from the current situation, even if Lin Yi wanted to deceive him, she wouldn't be able to deceive him for long. Lin Taxing and the others were also aware of the situation and felt somewhat helpless. If it was something else, everyone could think of a way. But when it came to matters of the heart, even if they wanted to help, there was nothing they could do. The members of the Bailey family were completely immersed in disbelief, surprise, and envy. Yun Yan, when did you meet Di Xiaofeng? From the looks of it, he seems to like you. What do you mean by seems? Isn't it obvious? He likes Yun Yan. Yun Yan, you're so lucky. Di Xiaofeng is the perfect lover in the eyes of so many girls. I'm so jealous that he likes you. The female members of the Bailey family were already going crazy. They all lamented that such a thing had never happened to them. The elder was also surprised. However, if Bailey Yunyan could really be together with Di Xiaofeng, it would be a great thing for their family. Chapter 47-59. However, Lin Yi, who was the happiest, did not go. Everyone understood the reason for this. After trying to call several times, Lin Yi just refused to say that she was not feeling well. Everyone could only leave helplessly. Lin Qianshan stood outside the house, looking at the closed door. Her brows were knitted together. She was Lin Yi's sister. She naturally knew how deep Lin Yi's feelings for Di Xiaofeng were. Lin Yi almost dreamed that she could marry Di Xiaofeng, but such a dream could not be achieved. She understood that Lin Yi couldn't face all this at the moment, and she would not force her sister to face it. Since she wanted to be alone, then let her stay here alone. Without Lin Yi, this celebration was naturally less joyful. Lin Yi was usually the most lively person here. Thinking that she was probably hiding in the house and sad now, everyone couldn't be happy. As the initiator of this matter, Di Xiaofeng was also very helpless. He didn't want to hurt Lin Yi, but he really couldn't help it in this matter. If I can, I really want to beat you up. Lin Qianshan looked at Di Xiaofeng fiercely. If someone else bullied her sister like this, she would have already taken action without hesitation. Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng stared at Lin Qianshan and said, "You can hit me. This is all my fault. I am sorry for Yi." For a long time, he had also doted on Yi, his cousin, very much, but she was just a cousin. He couldn't develop any other feelings for her. However, seeing Yi sad, he felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Lin Qianshan grabbed Di Xiaofeng's collar with one hand and waved her fist without hesitation. Di Xiaofeng just stood there without moving. In fact, he would rather someone beat him up so that he would feel better in his heart. However, Lin Qianshan's fist stopped only 1 centimeter away from Di Xiaofeng's face. "Forget it. What's the use of hitting you?" Lin Qianshan sighed, "Can you be with Yi if I hit you?" As Lin Qianshan said, she shook her head, "If you don't really like Yi, then what's the point of being with Yi reluctantly? Yi is so good. She deserves a man who loves her wholeheartedly." As soon as he said this, everyone nodded in agreement. This was also what they were thinking. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen glanced at each other. From Bailey Hongzhuang's point of view, Di Xiaofeng was really too hurtful, but they also knew that Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan loved each other. This kind of thing could only be said to be fate. During dinner, Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and White Dragon came out together. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang did not see White Lion, she could not help but wonder, where did White Lion go? "White Lion is with Yi," Xiao He said. "Ah." Bailey Hongzhuang was surprised. "When did it go in?" "After Yi comes back, she will be with Baisher. Yi needs comfort now, so it's good that Baisher is accompanying her," Di Beichen said slowly. "At least this way, we can rest assured." "Indeed." Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. If there was no one by Lin Yi's side now, they would not be at ease. Although Baisher was a beast, he was also a reliable beast. Chapter 4760. Today's Baisher already had the majesty of the Beast King. His fur was soft and shiny. His streamlined figure and domineering appearance were awe-inspiring in everyone's eyes. Lin Yi was shocked when she saw Baisher because such a beautiful and domineering beastkin was rare. The most important thing was that Baisher's fur was soft and warm. It was so comfortable to hug him. Since then, Lin Yi often hung out with Baisher. At first, Baisher refused Lin Yi's hug, but because of Lin Yi's identity, he could only accept it helplessly. After all, there was always a guy who would stick to him as soon as she saw him. He couldn't do anything, so he could only let it be. Gradually, Baisher got used to it. Beichen, have you told Yi that Baisher will be able to transform into a human form soon? Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly thought of this and couldn't help but ask. Di Beichen shook his head with a hint of doubt in his eyes. Didn't you tell Yi? I thought you told her. Bailey Hongzhuang said. I thought you told her too. Di Beichen responded. I just think that Yi won't be able to hug Baisher willfully for long. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged. Di Beichen smiled faintly. In fact, it's good that you didn't tell her now. At least you can let Baisher accompany her. Otherwise, we won't feel at ease leaving her alone at this time. With Baisher, they didn't have to worry about Lin Yi doing stupid things. This was enough. The next day, Di Xiaofeng, Di Beichen, and Bailey Hongzhuang appeared together at the Bailey family's residence. Bailey Hongzhuang was also full of curiosity about the Bailey family. She just wanted to know if the current Bailey family and the Bailey family from 1,000 years ago were the same family. It's just that if they were to go over and ask, the other party would be suspicious. Fortunately, they knew Bailey Yunyan. So, it was best to ask from her. Bailey Yunyan walked out of the Bailey family. Her face was red as she looked at Di Xiaofeng and then at the two strangers behind her. She smiled and said, Xiaofeng, congratulations, you've finally found your brother. Ever since she met Di Xiaofeng, she knew that Di Xiaofeng had always been looking for Di Beichen, but he couldn't find him even after spending a lot of time and effort. She didn't expect that the brothers would finally reunite this time. She was also happy for Di Xiaofeng. Hearing Bailey Yunyan's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two smiled. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen first met Bailey Yunyan, they were both in disguise. Therefore, Bailey Yunyan didn't recognize them at all. Seeing the three of them smile, Bailey Yunyan felt a bit strange. Could it be that she said something wrong? Just as she was confused, Di Xiaofeng said, Yunyan, actually, you know Beichen and Hongzhuang. Hearing this, Bailey Yunyan was even more confused. I know them. I don't know them. They are Situ and Yi Xian. Di Xiaofeng smiled. What? Bailey Yunyan was dumbfounded. Her eyes widened as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Xiaofeng in disbelief. How is that possible? It's such a coincidence. We were in disguise. I didn't expect Xiaofeng to be Beichen's big brother. Bailey Hongzhuang explained with a smile. In this kind of situation, Bailey Yunyan's attitude had already made her intentions clear. After all, he hadn't missed Bailey Yunyan's disappointment yesterday. Thinking about it, Yi's matter might have even helped Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan's relationship. Looking at Di Beichen's confident look, Bailey Hongzhuang also nodded. No matter what, she had to ask today. Chapter 4762. Di Xiaofeng noticed the strange expressions on Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's faces, and a trace of doubt flashed through his eyes. He always felt that Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have something on her mind, but he couldn't figure out what it was. Tea house. After Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan finished talking, Bailey Hongzhuang said, "Miss Yunyan, I have something to ask you." Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's serious expression, Bailey Yunyan also became serious. "What is it? How long has your family been around?" Hearing this, Bailey Yunyan was slightly stunned. She thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would ask some complicated questions, but she didn't expect that she would ask about her family's heritage. This was a bit strange. Although our Bailey family is just an ordinary family now, our family has been around for thousands of years. Bailey Yunyan's face was full of pride. Even if the Bailey family was just an ordinary family in the eyes of others, they knew that their family used to be a very dazzling and powerful existence. It's just that it gradually declined. I don't know why you're asking this. At this time, Di Xiaofeng also said, I also heard that the Bailey family used to be a very powerful family, but I don't know what happened, and it gradually declined. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up when she heard that the Bailey family had been around for thousands of years. In addition, the Bailey family used to be a very powerful family. With these 2 points combined, her judgment was very likely to be true. Thinking that the Bailey family might still exist, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but feel happy. This was really good news. Back then, she passed away because of an accident and didn't explain many things to her family. In fact, she had always felt guilty in her heart. If she could confirm that the Bailey family still existed, then she would feel much better and even have a sense of belonging in her heart. After all, she was a member of the Bailey family. Hongzhuang's surname is also Bailey. According to the information passed down by her ancestors, her family used to be a very large one. After coming to the upper world, she learned about the Bailey family, so Hongzhuang wanted to know more about it, Di Beichen explained. Hearing Di Beichen's words, Bailey Yunyan was slightly taken aback. Then, her eyes lit up. Could it be that Lady Bailey's ancestors are of the same lineage as us? Although the possibility of this was not high, it was indeed possible if one thought about it carefully. In the past, the Bailey family was very powerful, and there were many direct descendants and branch descendants. After a few generations, many of the branch descendants went to other places. Naturally, it was also possible that they went to the lower world. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. That is indeed a possibility. That is why I wanted to ask. I hope Miss Yunyan can tell me. In my opinion, you don't have to call me Miss Yunyan. Chapter 4763. On the side, Di Xiaofeng finally understood what Bailey Hongzhuang was thinking about before. When he first found out that his sister-in-law's surname was also Bailey, he only felt that it was fate. He didn't expect that his sister-in-law and Bailey Yunyan might really have the same bloodline. How could this not be surprising? However, he felt that if Bailey Hongzhuang and Bailey Yunyan really had the same bloodline, then it was really fate. I want to know if there was a family head named Bailey Jingyu in your family? Bailey Hongzhuang asked in a deep voice, her dark phoenix eyes flashing with a nervous light. Bailey Jingyu was none other than Bailey Hongzhuang's grandfather. At that time, it was Bailey Hongzhuang who passed the position of family head to Bailey Hongzhuang. The old man was clearly old but strong, but he said that he wanted to rest all day, so he passed the position of family head to her early on. In fact, she also understood that it was because her father died in an accident. Her grandfather wanted to protect her and didn't want others to have the possibility of taking over the position of family head, so he did this. She originally wanted to lead the Bailey family to become stronger and stronger, but who would have thought that in the end, even she died in an accident. Thinking about it, her grandfather must have been very sad when he found out about this. Every time she thought of this, Bailey Hongzhuang felt a burst of pain and couldn't help but feel guilty. She let Bailey Jingyu send off her own child. Needless to say, she felt very sad in her heart. It was a pity that she had no way to let Bailey Jingyu know that she didn't die and was still alive. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Bailey Yunyan shook her head. In my memory, I don't seem to have heard of this family head. Miss Yunyan, Hongzhuang's bloodline has been in the lower realm for a long time. I hope you can go back and look at your family's genealogy. Maybe you can find it. Di Beichen said in a deep voice. Bailey Yunyan was slightly stunned, then her eyes lit up. You're right, I thought too simply. I'm afraid this is a matter from a long time ago. What I know is only the successive patriarchs in recent years. I really don't know anything about the patriarchs from many years ago. Why don't I go back and do some research? While speaking, Bailey Yunyan frowned again. We are now in the Water Chi City. The genealogy is in our family. I think even if I ask the Great Elder, he may not know. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and said, there's no need to rush. After we're done with the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, you can find some time to help me ask around after you return to your family. She had already waited for so many years, and she didn't mind waiting a few more. Although he didn't have any concrete evidence, he was certain that the Bailey family was most likely the family she had been in. Because there wouldn't be so many coincidences. Since the Bailey family had been passed down for many years and was once a big family, it was impossible for there to be two Bailey family at the same time. Hongzhuang, don't worry. I'll help you inquire about it as soon as I return to my clan, Bailey Yunyan said. Thank you very much. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. You're too courteous. Bailey Yunyan waved her hand, this is nothing. I'm just going back to inquire about it. I haven't even thanked you properly when you helped treat my sister. Chapter 47-64. Listening to Di Xiaofeng's words, the smile in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes deepened a little. She immediately nodded with a smile, yes, we are all on the same side, so I won't say more polite words. Bailey Yunyan's expression changed. A trace of shyness quietly appeared in her eyes, but she didn't continue to talk about this topic. Not speaking was equivalent to acquiescence. Di Xiaofeng, Di Beichen, and Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at each other. They already understood a little in their hearts. Lin Yi, who stayed in the house, was very sad. Although she already knew that big cousin only regarded her as a sister, she never gave up. After all, she had liked him for so many years, and she never thought of other possibilities in her mind. Now that she saw that Di Xiaofeng already had someone he liked, the sadness in her heart was self-evident. White Lion, do you think I should give up? Lin Yi raised her red and swollen eyes, looking at White Lion in front of her. She muttered with her small mouth, looking as aggrieved as possible. White Lion looked at Lin Yi, who was hugging him as a pillow, and his eyes flashed with a strong sense of helplessness. In fact, his original intention was to go out with his master for a big meal, but he didn't expect to be dragged in by Lin Yi directly. Since the first time he saw Lin Yi, he had become her pillow. Although he had struggled many times, it was obviously useless. White Lion, what's with your gaze? Lin Yi frowned and looked at White Lion, I am already so sad, and you still don't want to care about it. Aren't you too heartless? Listening to Lin Yi's words, White Lion restrained himself a little and let the other party hug him. Anyway, he was already used to it. What's more, Lin Yi always looked happy on weekdays. Her appearance today was really distressing. Seeing White Lion's attitude change, Lin Yi's heart also warmed a little. I know White Lion, you are the best to me. Lin Yi rubbed her face on White Lion, but the sadness in her eyes still did not dissipate. You say, if I give up like this, isn't it a pity? I have liked Big Cousin for so many years, and my heart has never changed. Just as Baisher was about to speak, Lin Yi said again, but if you really love someone, you should want to see him happy. Eldest cousin doesn't like me. Even if he really gets together with me, he probably won't be happy. Lin Yi looked bitter. She couldn't help but think of Di Xiaofeng's expression when he saw Bailey Yunyan today. White Lion, do you know? I have never seen big cousin look at any woman with such a warm gaze, but I saw it today. From the moment I saw the look in his eyes, I knew I had failed, and it was impossible. Actually, I was very clear in my heart that perhaps my persistence these past few years was unreasonable in everyone's eyes. Not only did it not bring any happiness to big cousin, but it also made him feel a lot more helpless. I've thought about giving up before, but it's one thing to think about it, and another thing to do it. Every time I think about giving up, I can't help but feel my heart ache. I always think that maybe one day, big cousin will change his mind. Maybe he will fall in love with me. Lin Yi had tears in the corner of her eyes, but I can't lie to myself anymore. Looking at Lin Yi like this, Baisher's gaze gradually changed. Chapter 47-65. Originally, Baisher couldn't understand Lin Yi's persistence. In his opinion, Di Xiaofeng had always shown it clearly. In this matter, Di Xiaofeng had tried his best to do the best he could, but Lin Yi was unwilling to give up. At this moment, after hearing Lin Yi's words, he began to understand. In fact, Lin Yi was not ignorant, nor was she willful or unreasonable. It was because her love was too deep, so she couldn't let go. Come to think of it, if you like someone to the bone, wanting to give up is not an easy thing to do. He thought that Lin Yi would still not choose to give up after today, but now hearing what she said, he suddenly felt that Lin Yi was also very cute. Just when Baisher was about to comfort Lin Yi, he found that she had fallen asleep due to exhaustion from crying. Seeing this, Baisher also sighed in his heart. He might have thought too much. Lin Yi called him in just to talk to herself, not to ask him for an answer. As early as after the end of the alchemy competition, the Great Elder immediately conveyed the result back to the Di family. Di Yujue had actually been a little worried during this period of time. Although he had already expected that his family would not be able to obtain good results in this alchemy competition, he felt that the Jun family would definitely not let go of the opportunity to add insult to injury. He only hoped that the family's juniors would not be affected by this incident. After all, this time, Di Xiaofeng and others would not be in the limelight. On the contrary, they would be ridiculed and suppressed. If they could persist in such a situation without affecting their state of mind, it would actually be a kind of training for them. It was just that as a cultivator of the Di family, they had always been in the limelight in the outside world. He was afraid that everyone would not be able to accept such a situation. He was also a little worried. After learning that the Shao family had formed an alliance with the Jun family, Di Yujue was also very angry. He didn't expect the Shao family to be so heartless this time. They made such a decision when their Di family needed help. This feeling was tantamount to being betrayed again, which made Di Yujue extremely annoyed. Di Yujue wasn't the only one who was worried. Di Lin Xian and the others couldn't help but worry as well. The alchemy competition has already ended. I think the news will come back soon. Xia Wanrong's face faintly revealed some worry as she rubbed her hands. Di Lin Xian nodded slightly. That's right. According to the usual days, we should be able to receive the results today. I hope the children will not be affected in such a situation. Di Yujue's eyes darkened slightly. As the head of the family, it was indeed his fault that he did not provide better protection for his family's disciples. Seeing Di Yujue blaming himself, Xia Wanrong couldn't help but say, Yujue, this matter is not your fault. We misjudged Medicine Master Qin at that time, so we ended up in this situation today. This will never happen again, Di Lin Xian said seriously. Just as they were talking, the second elder quickly rushed over. Patriarch, the news has arrived. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present changed. Quick, let me see. Chapter 4766. After noticing the change in Di Yujue's expression, Lin Yunqing couldn't help but feel puzzled. Yujue, is there any good news? After reading the contents of the letter, Di Yujue couldn't help but laugh. God really blesses the Di family, After hearing the news, the elders of the Di family also rushed over. As soon as they arrived, they heard Di Yujue's happy voice and their faces were filled with confusion and joy. Although they didn't know what was going on, from Di Yujue's expression, they could tell that something good must have happened. Di Linxian and Xia Wanrong were also curious. Di Yujue was still in a gloomy mood. Why did he suddenly change? It turns out that we've always underestimated Hong Zhuang. Di Yujue's voice was deep and apologetic, but his eyes were unusually bright. Master, what do you mean by this? Second elder couldn't help but ask. They were too curious. Previously, Hong Zhuang told me that she had broken through to become an 8th-tier alchemist, but I didn't believe it. I didn't expect it to be true. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Immediately after, when everyone came to their senses, their faces were filled with joy. Master, does this mean that second madam has won a place in the alchemy competition? Everyone quickly connected the dots. Other than this, there was obviously no other possibility. Di Yujue smiled and nodded, that's right. After hearing this affirmative answer, everyone heaved a sigh of relief and felt as if the stone in their hearts had been lifted. Previously, because the Di family didn't have an 8th-tier alchemist, they were bound to lose face in the alchemy competition. Everyone had been very worried. Regardless of Bailey Hongzhuang's ranking, as long as she was able to win a place, she had already won back a lot of dignity. I didn't expect my precious granddaughter-in-law to be so amazing. Xia Wanrong couldn't help but exclaim with a smile on her face. Hong Zhuang not only broke through to become a level 8 alchemist, she also helped the 7th elder and the 8th elder to become level 8 alchemists. Di Yujue dropped another bomb. If he didn't recognize the handwriting on the note as the first elder's, he wouldn't believe it at all. However, after hearing Di Yujue's words, the crowd suddenly quieted down. Everyone stared at Di Yujue with their eyes wide open, wondering if they had heard wrongly. Yujue, what did you just say? Say it again, Lin Yunqing asked. Actually, it wasn't that she didn't hear clearly, but she felt that she must have misheard. I said, Hong Zhuang helped the 2 elders to become level 8 alchemists. Di Yujue emphasized. Is this true? Absolutely. Everyone took a deep breath. At this moment, they didn't know how to express their feelings. The second young madam is too amazing. Over the years, the 7th elder and the 8th elder have been racking their brains to become level 8 alchemists, but they have never succeeded. The second young madam can actually guide them to become level 8 alchemists. How great is her attainment in alchemy? In that case, could it be that our family has 3 level 8 alchemists participating in this alchemy competition? The third elder suddenly thought of this and quickly said. Chapter 4767. That's right. Our clan has 3 8th-grade alchemists participating in the competition. Di Yujue's face was full of smiles. Bailey Hongzhuang had really given him a big surprise this time. Despite the mountains and rivers, a glimmer of hope appears at the end of the tunnel. They had thought that they were at their wits' end this time. Who would have thought that there would be such a huge reversal in the end? In that case, our clan's results are very good this time. Lin Yunqing could not help but ask. Of course. Di Yujue had a smile on his face. This time, our family has been the center of attention in the alchemy competition. We've stolen everyone's limelight. When Di Lin Xian heard this, he could not help but frown. Even if our clan has 3 8th-grade alchemists participating in the competition, it shouldn't be enough to steal everyone's limelight, right? Just the brat from the Ouyang clan alone is not something that can be stolen by others. Father, you've guessed wrong. Du Jue waved his hand. The first place of this alchemy competition is Hongzhuang. When he said this, everyone present was dumbfounded. Di Lin Xian and the rest stared blankly at Du Jue, only thinking that they must have been hallucinating. Yu Jue, the first place you just accepted is Hongzhuang. Xia Wanrong could not help but ask again. Mother, you didn't hear wrongly. This is all true. Di Yujue handed the letter in his hand to Di Lin Xian. Di Lin Xian and Xia Wanrong immediately read the contents of the letter together. When they read it, the two of them were completely stunned. This is really too unbelievable. It seems that this time, our clan's disciples who meet the requirements can all participate in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, Di Yujue said with a smile. At this moment, the elders also understood that they were not hallucinating. An indescribable joy surged in their hearts. Second Madam is actually the first place of the alchemy competition. Usually, this first place is taken by the Alchemist Guild. Our clan has never obtained first place before. This time, we've really stolen the limelight. Isn't Second Madam a doctor? How can his attainments in alchemy be so amazing? This, I don't know what to say anymore. Our Second Madam is a genius among geniuses. All the elders sighed with emotion. This surprise was simply too great. I didn't expect my precious granddaughter-in-law to be so amazing. Xia Wanrong's face was full of joy. This girl is usually too low-key. We didn't notice at all. Lin Yunqing also nodded. Hongzhuang is indeed a good child. She's neither arrogant nor impatient. She's not like those young people who like to be in the limelight. The heavens are really protecting our Di family. When Hongzhuang comes back, we must reward her well. Di Linxian smiled. Speaking of which, my precious grandson has good taste. For a moment, the entire Di family was immersed in joy. When Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the elixir store, she found that there were many people inside. Second Madam, you're back, Di Chuyuan said with a smile when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang return. President Lu is here. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang also noticed Lu Yuhai. Astonishment immediately appeared on her face. Greetings, President Lu. Bailey Hongzhuang bowed. Lu Yuhai smiled and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Miss Bailey, I took the liberty to come and disturb you today. It's my honor to have President Lu here. How is this a disturbance? Bailey Hongzhuang hurriedly said. Chapter 4768. Ever since he saw Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in the pill refining competition, Lu Yuhai's admiration for Bailey Hongzhuang grew. On one hand, Bailey Hongzhuang had cured the old president's unmentionable illness, so he was filled with gratitude towards Bailey Hongzhuang. On the other hand, he didn't see any youthful vigor in Bailey Hongzhuang. On the contrary, he saw a steadiness and magnanimity that didn't match her age. Originally, he felt that the Holy Maiden was one of the most outstanding people in the younger generation. However, compared to Bailey Hongzhuang in the pill refining competition, she was clearly much weaker. I'll get straight to the point. Lu Yuhai noticed the doubt on the faces of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, so he smiled and said, I'm here to invite Miss Bailey to join our Alchemist Guild. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. Ever since she found out about the Alchemist Guild, she also wanted to join it. According to her estimations, although the Alchemist Guild was an organization, its management was rather loose. Generally speaking, the alchemists in the Alchemist Guild weren't restricted too much. On the contrary, they could obtain quite a bit of convenience there. After all, the Alchemist Guild was spread all over the place. It was undoubtedly the most convenient place to find medicinal herbs. She was already an 8th-level alchemist. Although the Di family had quite a number of 8th-level spiritual herbs, there were still 2 other alchemists. Naturally, there would be some restrictions if she used them for practice. If she joined the Alchemist Guild, it would undoubtedly be much more convenient for her to obtain these spiritual herbs. She originally wanted to make a trip there in a few days, but she didn't expect that President Lu would personally invite her. When Di Chuyuan and the others heard this, their eyes flashed with astonishment. They originally thought that President Lu was here for the lost pill formula in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. After all, this item was a great treasure to anyone. It was especially useful to the Alchemist Guild. Therefore, their attitude towards President Lu was somewhat conflicted. However, they didn't expect that President Lu was here to invite Bailey Hongzhuang to join the Alchemist Guild. Logically speaking, even if it was an invitation, it would be sufficient for the branch president of Chishui City to do so. President Lu personally inviting her was a little frightening. To trouble President Lu to personally invite me, Hongzhuang is truly terrified. Bailey Hongzhuang cupped her hands, seemingly overwhelmed by the favor. Although her performance in the alchemy competition this time wasn't bad, to trouble the Alchemist Association's president to personally invite her was still a little shocking. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's reaction, Lu smiled, "I have always cherished treasured talents, you don't have to worry because of my status. You're so young, yet you're able to become an 8th-grade alchemist. Even I feel ashamed of my inferiority to such a talent. In the future, alchemy will be your world." Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, Lu's faces, Lu's face, Lu was Lu's, face for hats faces. Hong Lu Wei's, Lu's, and faces Master Lu. His ants with his hiss. As a leader, there were naturally many people who cherished talents. However, there were also many people who were willing to kill any seedlings that could affect their position. Clearly, Guild Master Lu wasn't such a person. If Miss Bailey is willing, then please join our Alchemist Guild. I would like to invite you to become a deacon of the Alchemist Guild. Here, we can provide you with a lot of convenience in refining pills. Furthermore, there aren't many restrictions on you. Chapter 4769. After saying that, Lu Yuhai looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a smile. He believed that Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't reject his offer. When everyone heard that Lu Yuhai had invited Bailey Hongzhuang to become a deacon, they were all very surprised. I never thought that President Lu would invite sister-in-law to become a deacon. This is a huge recognition of sister-in-law. I heard that Ouyang Jifeng is also a deacon of the Alchemist Guild. This deacon has much more authority than ordinary alchemists. Di Xiaofeng's eyes were brimming with happiness. Now that he saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was recognized by so many people, he felt happy from the bottom of his heart. Di Beichen's eyes also brightened when he heard this. The corner of his lips had a faint smile. He felt that after coming to the upper realm, his wife would soar into the sky. How could a golden carp be a fish in a pond? Once it meets the wind and clouds, it will become a dragon. This place was more suitable for Bailey Hongzhuang. Although Bailey Hongzhuang didn't know what kind of authority a deacon had, she knew that it was much better than an ordinary member. Then I'll have to thank President Lu. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had agreed, the smile on Lu Yuhai's face gradually widened. It is our honor that Miss Bailey is willing to join our Alchemist Guild. Only after guild leader Lu left did the members of the Di family relax. Second young madam, congratulations. Di Henyin's face was filled with joy as he cupped his hands towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Becoming a deacon of the Alchemist Guild is something that many alchemists hope to achieve. Eighth elder, what's the difference after becoming a deacon? Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but ask when she saw that Di Henyin was an understanding person. The most important thing for us alchemists to join the guild is to exchange for medicinal ingredients. Once we become a deacon, we only need to pay half the price when exchanging for medicinal ingredients. The most important thing is that the deacon has priority when exchanging for medicinal herbs. This is very convenient when you need some more precious medicinal herbs. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly realized that the price of the 8th-rank spiritual grass was very expensive. She didn't expect that the deacon would have such a benefit. It helped her save a lot of money. Not only that, but if you want to exchange for pill formulas, books, and the like, it will be more convenient than ordinary alchemists, and the things you have to pay will also be less. The Alchemist Association's deacon had a certain status. Ordinary alchemists would need to salute when they saw you. If someone dares to cause trouble for you, the status of a deacon is also very helpful. This means that behind you is the Alchemist Association. Whoever dares to make a move on you will have to carefully consider it. Following Di Hengyun's words, everyone's eyes were filled with envy. They didn't think that becoming a deacon would bring so many benefits. Di Beichen's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. He was originally worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would be wronged because she had no background. Now that she had such a background, it was undoubtedly a great thing. Second madam, the only deacon as young as you is Ouyang Jifeng. Di Yunhe chuckled, once this news spreads out, I'm afraid that many alchemists will envy you. One had to know that he and Di Hengyun had also joined the Alchemist Association. Obviously, they didn't have the qualifications to receive this. The Di family's disciples were also very happy to see that Bailey Hongzhuang had received such a title. Bailey Hongzhuang was a member of the Di family. They were also proud of her. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had to go to Water Chi City to get the badge later. Chapter 4770. After eating lunch, Bailey Hongzhuang walked towards the Alchemist Guild. In this Water Chi City, the Alchemist Guild was undoubtedly a very conspicuous building. Not long after, Bailey Hongzhuang saw a building that was shaped like a pill furnace. On top of it, there were 5 steady and imposing words written in black, Alchemist Guild. The moment she saw these words, a steady and restrained aura hit her in the face. It was just like the Alchemist Guild's characteristics, steady, serious, and low-key. Although the exterior of the building looked extremely deep, when Bailey Hongzhuang walked in, she found that the interior was extremely bright and showed a low-key luxury everywhere. On the surface, there didn't seem to be too many decorations, but overall, it gave people a kind of imposing feeling. The hall on the first floor was obviously very lively. It was full of people, and the most lively place was the place where medicinal pills were sold. After all, a cultivator's cultivation couldn't be separated from medicinal pills. Another place that was more lively was the medicinal ingredients collection area. There were many cultivators who were carrying medicinal ingredients to trade. After Bailey Hongzhuang walked in, many gazes were attracted to her. No matter when or where, a beauty would always attract people's attention. When everyone noticed that the person who came was actually Bailey Hongzhuang, everyone's eyes became even brighter. Isn't this Bailey Hongzhuang who won first place in this year's alchemy competition? At that time, I saw her from afar. At that time, I felt that she was a celestial being. Today, when I saw her up close, I didn't expect that I would be even more shocked. She also came to the Alchemist Guild. I heard that she came from the lower realm. Could it be that she came here today to join the Alchemist Guild? While the cultivators who came to exchange medicinal ingredients were having a heated discussion, the people in the Alchemist Guild also noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's existence. The attendant quickly walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side with a polite smile on his face. May I ask if you are Miss Bailey? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. That's right, it's me. After receiving an affirmative answer, the attendant's expression changed a little. His words were full of politeness and he didn't dare to neglect in the slightest. Miss Bailey, the president has already informed me that you might come over in the afternoon. Please wait here for a moment, I will inform the president. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and said, I'm only here today to fill in the information and receive the badge. There's no need to alarm the president. This president is naturally not President Liu Yuhai, but the president of Water Praying Cities branch. The president instructed me to inform him if you're coming today. Please rest for a while. I'll be back soon, okay? Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang also understood that the branch president really wanted to see her. She immediately nodded and said, okay. Not long after she sat down, several figures appeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. When she saw the figure at the head of the group, there was a trace of surprise in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. She wasn't unfamiliar with this person, because this person was one of the judges of the alchemy competition. She had heard the seventh elder mention this person before, so he should be President Xue Changdong. Miss Bailey, you are here. Welcome, welcome. When he saw Bailey Hongzhuang, Xue Changdong's face revealed a joyful smile. I am the president of Water Praying Cities Alchemist Guild, Xue Changdong. President Xue, I've heard a lot about you. Bailey Hongzhuang bowed and said. Chapter 47-71. Immediately after, Xue Zhangdong introduced the vice president and the others to Bailey Hongzhuang. That kind of cordial appearance seemed to treat Bailey Hongzhuang as one of their own. Bailey Hongzhuang also recognized one by one. Only then did Xue Zhangdong introduce her. From today onwards, Miss Bailey will be the deacon of the Alchemist Guild. Once these words were spoken, a trace of astonishment appeared in the eyes of the surrounding people. However, the vice president and the others obviously already knew about this, so they didn't feel strange. With Miss Bailey's talent, she is indeed worthy of the position of deacon. The vice president said with a smile. There were many alchemists in the hall. After hearing this news, everyone's hearts were extremely shocked. Bailey Hongzhuang's treatment is really extraordinary. She just joined the Alchemist Guild today and is already a deacon. Her future is really limitless. This is also how it should be. She is the champion of this alchemy competition. With this kind of genius, even if she doesn't become a deacon now, she will definitely become one in the future. I think the Alchemist Guild made a very smart decision. Comparisons are odious. When I saw Ouyang Jifeng before, I already felt that his talent was terrifying. I didn't expect that an even more terrifying one would appear now. Everyone sighed. Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in this alchemy competition had already become a household name in a short period of time. This limelight completely overshadowed the other genius disciples. Therefore, in this Water Chi city, there was already no one who didn't know Bailey Hongzhuang. Miss Bailey, this is your rank 8 alchemist badge and deacon's token. I have already prepared them for you. The vice president smiled faintly and handed the two things to Bailey Hongzhuang. Looking at the glittering badge and the dark token, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a smile and said, I have troubled you, vice president. It's just a small matter. No need to worry. Miss Bailey, from today onwards, you are a member of our Alchemist Guild. For this reason, we have also prepared some small gifts for you. Why don't you come with me to choose? During the alchemy competition, Xue Zhangdong had already admired Bailey Hongzhuang. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was very young, he did not treat Bailey Hongzhuang as a junior, because his alchemy skills were enough for him to treat him as an equal. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't think that the Alchemist Guild would actually prepare a gift for her, and a trace of surprise involuntarily appeared in her eyes. Guild leader Xue, you're too polite. Deacon Bailey, you don't have to be courteous. This is also our kind intentions. Congratulations on becoming a deacon of our Alchemist Association. Our Water Praying City branch is very honored to become your branch. Xue Zhangdong knew very well that with Bailey Hongzhuang's talent, she would definitely become a leader in the future. Taking advantage of this opportunity to get closer to Bailey Hongzhuang was undoubtedly an extremely smart move. Bailey Hongzhuang naturally guessed what they were thinking. She immediately cupped her hands and said, Thank you, President Xue. She also had a very good impression of Shui Zhangdong. If he needed her help in the future, she would not refuse. According to the elders, the water-praying city branch was one of the more outstanding branches of the Alchemist Guild. Presumably, there would be many treasures here. She would soon enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. If she could have more treasures to protect herself at this time, it would be extremely good. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang agree, the smile on Shui Zhangdong's face became even wider. Chapter 4772. Under Shui Zhangdong's guidance, Bailey Hongzhuang quickly arrived at the Alchemist Guild's treasury. Along the way, she discovered that the path to the treasury was extremely well hidden. It was almost impossible for anyone to enter without knowing the way. Even if she knew the way in, she could not enter the treasury on her own because the defenses here were extremely terrifying. Standing outside the treasure pavilion, Shui Changdong stopped and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a smile. This is the treasure pavilion. Bailey Hongzhuang can choose any 3 items here as our gift to you. Thank you. After saying her thanks, Bailey Hongzhuang entered the hidden treasures pavilion. As soon as she entered, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. There were many good things in the treasury. She had only taken one look and had already noticed many precious medicinal herbs. These medicinal herbs were treasures that could only be found in auctions outside. She never thought that she would be able to find so many different types of medicinal herbs in the treasury. However, when she thought about it carefully, she realized that the Alchemist Guild had the most medicinal herbs, so she calmed down. Master, there are many treasures here. Xiao Hei's eyes sparkled with excitement. Every time it saw these treasures, it could not help but feel excited. It's a pity that I can only choose 3 out of so many treasures. Won't I be dazzled by the selection? Bailey Hongzhuang stretched out her hand and flicked Xiao Hei's head. She then said exasperatedly, the treasures here are all very valuable. President Shui is already being very generous by allowing me to choose 3 items. Generally speaking, being able to choose one treasure was already very difficult. 3 treasures were enough to prove how much President Shui valued her. Alright, I'm just feeling a little heartache when I see so many treasures slipping away from my eyes. Xiao Hei clutched its chest and looked as if its heart was aching. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head and ignored Xiao Hei. She then swept her gaze across the shelves in front of her. Everything here was indeed a treasure, but she wanted to choose 3 that were most suitable for her current needs. After looking at many shelves, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was moved by many treasures. However, she did not make a decision rashly. Instead, she chose with a goal in mind. In the end, Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze stopped on a pair of couple swords. Silk Cutter Sword, Severed Passion Sword. Bailey Hongzhuang murmured the names of these 2 swords. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. These were obviously a pair of couple swords. But she did not know why they had been named. When she had first laid eyes on these swords, she had felt their sharpness. Clearly, these were 2 peerless swords. However, she had tried to pull the swords out of their scabbards, but she had not been able to remove the swords. Master, these swords as swords. Hongzhuang recognized Bailey Hongzhuang's hands as. Xiao Hei naturally had good eyesight. After seeing the situation of these 2 swords, he had already guessed the reason. Bailey Hongzhuang's Yi S. Following the increase in her and Di Beichen's powers, the swords in their hands could no longer keep up with their cultivations. They were about to enter the Immortal Cloud Mystery Realm. According to her judgment, once a treasure appeared, a fight would be unavoidable. A suitable sword was very important to them. Most importantly, when she had laid eyes on these swords, she had a feeling that they were fated to meet. Chapter 4773. Master, are you going to choose these 2 swords? Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had picked up the two swords, Xiao He could not help but ask, if we bring these swords back and they fail to recognize us as their master, wouldn't we have taken them for nothing? There were so many treasures here, and each of them was extremely valuable. She had to make use of them to their fullest potential. If they failed to recognize them as their master, they would be considered as trash. It would be a waste of a good opportunity. Seeing the worry in Xiao Hei's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and said, I understand what you are thinking. However, these two swords are obviously treasures. Although there is a possibility that they might fail to recognize us as their master, there is also a possibility that they might recognize us as their master. We have to look on the bright side. Even if they fail to recognize us as their master, it doesn't matter. Bailey Hongzhuang was very calm. From the moment she had chosen these two swords, she was already mentally prepared. Even if she did not succeed in the end, she would not regret it. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had already made up her mind, Xiao He sighed and said, all right then, I believe that you will succeed. Good girl, Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile as she patted Xiao Hei's head. After choosing the two swords, Bailey Hongzhuang finally chose a talisman. This talisman was able to defend against a full-powered attack from a Moonlight State cultivator. Obviously, this talisman was a protective talisman for her now. Although this talisman could only be used once, it was equivalent to another life. It was extremely useful. No one could guarantee that they would not meet with any danger after entering the Divine Cloud's secret realm. With this protective talisman, they would undoubtedly be much safer. When it came to protecting their lives, Bailey Hongzhuang had always been very willing to part with her life. Once she lost her life, she would have nothing left. After choosing the three treasures, Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate and immediately walked out of the treasury. When Xue Zhangdong saw Bailey Hongzhuang come out, his gaze immediately fell on the two sharp swords in her hands. Deacon Bailey, you've chosen this pair of couple swords. Xue Zhangdong's eyes were full of smiles. It seems that you and the second son of the Di family are really close. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and did not say anything, which was equivalent to a tacit agreement. When I saw you and the second son of the Di family that day, I felt that the two of you were a match made in heaven. Deacon Bailey is so outstanding, I'm sure the second son of the Di family must be a dragon among men as well. Guild leader Xue, you flatter me. Xue Zhangdong smiled faintly, these two swords are indeed treasures, but it's not easy to get them to recognize you as their master. The owners of these two swords were lovers who caused a sensation in the world. However, in the end, both of them fell in a great battle and the two swords were left behind. Later on, there were cultivators who tried to get these two swords to recognize you as their master, but none of them succeeded. I don't know the details, but I hope you will succeed. Hearing Xue Zhangdong's words, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at the two swords in her hands. These were also two swords with spiritual energy. Thank you very much, Guild Leader Xue. These things will be of great help to me. Deacon Bailey, you're too courteous. I hope you will be able to reap good rewards in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm this time. Xue Zhangdong only returned after Bailey Hongzhuang had walked out of the Alchemist Guild. The news of Bailey Hongzhuang becoming the deacon of the Alchemist Guild gradually spread and many cultivators were shocked. Everyone knew that Bailey Hongzhuang had really soared to the sky this time. Chapter 47-74. Master, why are there so many people gathered here? Xiao He looked at the large group of cultivators gathered in front of the elixir shop in puzzlement. When they left, it wasn't so lively. What happened in such a short time? I don't know. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head and smiled, let's go in and take a look. As Bailey Hongzhuang approached, the crowd in front of the elixir shop turned to look at her, their eyes shining with excitement. After noticing the eager gazes of the crowd, Xiao He couldn't help but ask, Master, why do I feel like these people are looking at you like wolves who have been starving for a long time and finally saw meat? The way their eyes lit up was a little scary. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips twitched slightly. I'm not sure, Miss Bailey, I wonder if you can help me refine an 8 revolutions Bodhi pill. The cost is not a problem, it's definitely not a problem. Yes, Miss Bailey, please help me refine one too. The price will definitely satisfy you. Help me refine it, help me refine it. I'll pay the highest price. Don't fight with me, I'll do it. For a moment, Bailey Hongzhuang was completely surrounded by the crowd. At the same time, she understood that these people were all here to ask her to help refine the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill. After knowing what was going on, Bailey Hongzhuang also breathed a sigh of relief. The 8 revolutions Bodhi pill had been lost, and this pill was very useful to cultivators. It was normal for such a situation to occur. In fact, when she went to the Alchemist Guild today, she thought that the Alchemist Guild would want her pill formula. She didn't expect President Shui to not mention it. This made her feel surprised and relieved at the same time. To her, the pill formula might not be that valuable. Just like when she was in the Penglai Palace, she didn't hesitate to hand over the pill formula. However, now that she was a member of the D family, she naturally had to consider the interests of the family. It was obviously the most beneficial for the family if the pill formula didn't fall into the hands of others. In reality, it was just as Bailey Hongzhuang had thought. The Alchemist Association indeed wanted to obtain the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill's pill formula. However, compared to a talent like Bailey Hongzhuang, they were more willing to recruit her. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang had the support of the D family. Even if they used force, it would be useless. Moreover, they would offend Bailey Hongzhuang. Under such circumstances, they made the wisest decision. Di Beichen immediately went to Bailey Hongzhuang and pulled her behind him. At the same time, Di Chuyuan and the others appeared as well, and they hurriedly said, "Stop squeezing." Before Bailey Hongzhuang returned, this group of people had already surrounded the entire medicinal pill shop. No matter what they said, it was useless. They were really helpless. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang had come back, she was naturally blocked by everyone at the first moment. When Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the medicinal pill shop, Di Beichen said helplessly, "These people all came to ask for the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill. No matter how much I refused, their enthusiasm didn't extinguish." Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. She naturally understood that the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill could give everyone the possibility of breaking through again. Naturally, they racked their brains to exchange for it. Chapter 47-75. Ever since the end of the alchemy competition, the D family had become extremely lively. In a short period of time, Di Chuyuan had already approached the cultivators of several families. The other party's purpose was very simple. First, they wanted to get closer to the D family. Second, they wanted to find a way to obtain the 8 turns Bodhi pill. As for the reward, it was naturally not bad at all. In the face of the other party's passionate pleading, Di Chuyuan was a little helpless. After all, many families had a good relationship with them. Although many families had distanced themselves from them because of the alliance between the Xiao family and the Jun family, now they wanted to make up for it. Although it was a little ironic in his eyes, he could not completely refuse. After all, every family needed some help. Even if he knew that the other party was not completely sincere to him, he still had to put in some effort on the surface. Between families, there were very few true connections. More often than not, it was a combination of interests. Therefore, Di Chuyuan was extremely calm in this situation. "Sister-in-law, you have really become a delicious cake in everyone's eyes." Di Xiaofeng smiled faintly and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. "I also want to exchange an 8 turns Bodhi pill from you. Murong Jing is my good brother." If he needs it, Di Xiaofeng scratched his head embarrassedly. If it was someone else, he would have directly refused. However, Murong Jing was his good brother. Even when everyone was not optimistic about them, Murong Jing never gave up on him. He would remember this friendship in his heart. Therefore, when Murong Jing made this request, he had no way to refuse. Therefore, he could only shamelessly ask Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing Di Xiaofeng and Di Chuyuan's embarrassed appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile gradually deepened. Big brother, why are you so embarrassed? We are all family. This is just a matter of saying a word. Her voice fell, and Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out 2 white porcelain bottles from her arms and handed them to Di Xiaofeng. Dage, Great Elder, these are 2 batches of 8 revolutions Bodhi Dan that I refined. You can handle it. With her current situation, it was obviously not suitable for her to intervene in this kind of family interest matter. Most importantly, she did not have the energy to do so. The Great Elder and Di Xiaofeng were the ones who understood this situation the best, so it was best to give them the pill. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang immediately take out 2 bottles of pills, Di Xiaofeng and Di Chuyuan were slightly surprised. Then the warmth in their eyes deepened. Sister-in-law, thank you so much. Di Xiaofeng smiled. Big brother, you're too polite. Second madam, your pills can help us fight for a lot of benefits. Di Chuyuan also sighed as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. One had to know that the 8 revolutions Bodhi elixir was hard to come by. As long as he took out the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill, he would be able to exchange it for many treasures that he couldn't normally trade for. Most importantly, he would be able to gain a favor from the other party. It was undoubtedly a very worthwhile trade. This is what I should do. If Great Elder has any other needs, you can tell me directly. I only have these 2 bottles of pills on me now. If you need more, I can refine some more. Di Chuyuan waved his hand. Second madam, the 2 batches of pills you gave us are enough. There's no need to trouble you to refine more. Chapter 47-76. Seeing that Di Chuyuan didn't seem to be faking it, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. If you treat me as one of your own, then there's no need to be so formal. Just tell me if you need anything. Hongzhuang is right, there's no need to be so polite. Di Beichen also spoke. As soon as these words were spoken, the eyes of everyone present were filled with joy and joy. The Di family elders looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen with satisfaction. They never thought that the second young master and second young mistress, who they finally found, would be so close. All their previous worries were for nothing. Oh right, second young mistress, here are some places for you. Di Chuyuan took out some identity cards and handed them to Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but be confused. Great Elder, what are you doing? This time, you've won a lot of places. Other than the places that our clan's disciples need, we've also prepared some places for the Lin clan and the other clans. This is enough for us to exchange for the benefits we need. As for the remaining places, the clan leader said that you'll be in charge. After all, without second young mistress, we wouldn't have any places this time. Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood and didn't refuse, thank you very much. She understood that this time, they had won a lot of places. The Di family had more than enough. As for the remaining places, the clan leader gave them to her to give her more opportunities to make friends with others. After the Great Elder and the others left, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Xiaofeng and said, Big brother, you can give these places to Yunyan. Bailey Hongzhuang gave some places to Di Xiaofeng. According to what she knew, the Bailey family didn't get any good results in the alchemy competition. Therefore, other than the identity cards that the Bailey family already had, they didn't have any other places. Thinking about it, Bailey Yunyan also didn't have a place. In her heart, Bailey Yunyan was most likely from the same lineage as her. Therefore, she wanted to help the Bailey family. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang directly take out 10 places and give it to him, a trace of surprise appeared in Di Xiaofeng's eyes. "Sister-in-law, I wanted to ask you for a place." Di Xiaofeng was a little embarrassed. Yunyan doesn't have a place this time, but 10 places is too much. Previously, when he saw the great elder giving a place to Bailey Hongzhuang, he already had. He didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to think of this as well and offered to give a place to Yunyan. At this moment, Xiao's a little. This sister-in-law was really too nice. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. "It's very likely that Yunyan is of the same bloodline as me, so the Bailey family also has a certain relationship with me. I think these quotas should be very useful to them." Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng nodded. "You're right." All these years, the Bailey family didn't have many places to enter the Immortal Cloud secret territory. These places are already a huge surprise to them. Since sister-in-law has already put it this way, I won't refuse. Thank you. Chapter 47-77. With the Bailey family's current strength, 10 quotas were already an unbearable benefit for them. One had to know that these quotas were things that all the large families were trying to obtain. If these quotas fell into the hands of a large family, even if others were jealous, they couldn't do anything about it. However, once the news of the Bailey family having a quota spread out, it was bound to arouse the jealousy of others. When a large force made a move against an ordinary force, they would not hesitate at all. Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to help the Bailey family, but she didn't want them to attract a fatal disaster. Di Xiaofeng was also a smart person. After hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, he already understood. "Sister-in-law, don't worry. I will definitely remind her. I will also tell her that this quota was given to them by you. This way, if sister-in-law really has the same bloodline as the Bailey family, it will also be good for you." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and did not refuse. After finishing everything, Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the room. "Wife, did the trip to the Alchemist Guild go smoothly today?" A devilish smile appeared on his handsome face. Although it was a question, Di Beichen's face did not show the slightest bit of worry. "It went very smoothly." Bailey Hongzhuang poured a cup of tea. Her red lips slightly opened as she took a sip. Then she continued, "President Xue of the Qishui City branch was very polite to me. Not only that, he also gave me 3 gifts." As she spoke, Bailey Hongzhuang took out 2 swords. "This is my gift to you." Di Beichen looked at the swords that Bailey Hongzhuang handed over and a trace of astonishment appeared in his eyes. Then it turned into a smile. "Wife really knows my heart. You knew that the weapon in my hand was not good enough and immediately helped me pick out a treasure. Take a look. Are you satisfied?" Bailey Hongzhuang asked with a smile. Di Beichen blinked his eyes, looking devilish and seductive. "How can a gift from my wife not be satisfactory?" "Severed Passion Sword." Di Beichen looked at the name on the scabbard and could not help but frown. Why does this name sound a little strange? Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged and shook her head. "I don't know either, but these 2 swords are clearly a couple. Not only that, I heard from Guild Master Xue that the previous owners of these 2 swords were a pair of lovers with deep feelings. However, they died in an accident and left these 2 swords behind. Her original intention was to find 2 handy weapons, and after seeing these 2 swords, she felt that they were very much to her liking. Although the name sounded a little strange, it was indeed a first-rate treasure. Silk Cutter Sword, Emotion Severing Sword, these names sound very domineering. These 2 swords are so sharp, and our feelings are so deep that even these 2 swords can't cut us apart. Good name." Di Beichen smiled as he held the sword in his hand. Hearing Di Beichen's explanation, Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze changed a little. Thinking about it, she felt that this was indeed a good name. Although I have already brought these two swords back, I haven't actually made them recognize me as their master. According to Guild Master Shui, it won't be easy to make these two swords recognize me as their master. I'm afraid that the two of us will have to put in a lot of effort. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the swords in her hand and sighed. If we can't make them recognize me as their master, then we'll have wasted the opportunity to choose a treasure. Chapter 4778. After obtaining the two swords, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen did not hesitate and immediately went into seclusion. Before entering the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, they had to think of a way to make the two swords recognize them as their masters. Otherwise, they would have to find other suitable weapons. After the Di family knew that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had gone into seclusion, no one went to disturb them. At a time like this, it would be good even if they could increase their strength a little. At the same time, Mo Yinjue and the others were also cultivating in seclusion in the Chaos Ring. On the day of the pill refining competition, they had seen many outstanding geniuses and deeply realized the gap between them. Most importantly, ever since that day, Ao Lingxiao had started to cultivate crazily. Although he did not say anything, Mo Yinjue and the others understood. It must be because he saw the Ao family's team during the pill refining competition that he trained so hard. After all, his brother had taken everything from him and made him bear such a bad name. In fact, when he had arrived in the upper realm, Ao Lingxiao had wanted to know about the Ao family's situation. Di Beichen had once helped him to gather some information, which allowed him to understand more about the Ao family's current situation. However, this was not as stimulating as seeing it with his own eyes. He only hoped that his strength could increase quickly. Only then could he return to the family and take back everything that belonged to him. Under the influence of Ao Lingxiao's crazy cultivation, Mo Yinjue and the others did not relax. They all immersed themselves in higher intensity cultivation. As a result, the demonic beasts in the forest world also suffered and became their practice targets. They did not have to worry about staying in the Chaos Ring. After Bailey Hongzhuang entered the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, they would naturally enter as well. The Shao family's patriarch was undoubtedly very depressed at this moment. He was originally very happy to wait for the Shao family's results. With the strength of their family's alchemists, they would definitely be able to obtain a good result. Reality proved that their ranking was indeed good. However, he was not happy at all. Because in this pill refining competition, the Shao family had undoubtedly become a joke in everyone's eyes. I never thought that something like this would happen. So was too reckless this time. Xiao Yanlong frowned. Although previously, because of Xiao Sou's matter, he was indeed dissatisfied with the Di family, he did not plan to break off relations with the Di family because of this. After all, the two families had been friends for so many years, and they had dealt with each other in all aspects. Not only that, he knew in his heart that the Di family would find a way to make up for it. However, he did not think that it would be so. He did not think that So clans as a family, and she even allied herself with the Jun family's family. Xiao Yanlong So's the family as a joke. The Xiao families become a joke families as well. And even the families was to become a joke to be them. I don't know what's wrong with the great elder this time. Why would he make such a decision? Xiao clan's Wu family had. After hearing Xiao Yanlong's words, the Xiao family's elders' faces were filled with dissatisfaction. This time's matter was really unwise. The Di family's relationship with us has always been very good. This time, the Di family's patriarch must think that we have betrayed him. Chapter 4779. That's right. If we hadn't broken off our relationship with the D family, we would have been able to gain a lot of benefits from this matter. Things are really troublesome now. The elders of the Shao family all sighed. This situation was simply beyond their expectations. After seeing the dissatisfaction and resentment of the elders of the Shao family, Xiao Yanlong also felt a wave of irritation in his heart. Elders, I understand what you mean. Unfortunately, things have already come to this point. I'm afraid it's impossible to make up for it. Although Xiao Yanlong still hoped to have the opportunity to make up for it, he asked himself honestly. If he and Du Jue were in different places, he would definitely not forgive the Shao family. The only way now is for the eldest young lady to become the holy maiden as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be really disadvantageous for our Shao family. The second elder said in a deep voice. Not only that, Master, I think the eldest young lady should also restrain her temper. There are many capable young talents now. Before the eldest young lady becomes the holy maiden of the light, I think she needs to properly reflect on her mistakes this time. The third elder's gaze darkened slightly. His expression was solemn and serious. It seems that the daughter-in-law of the D family is not a simple person. She has directly surpassed Ouyang Jifeng and become the most dazzling existence among the younger generation of alchemists. I'm sure her future achievements will not be low. As soon as these words came out, everyone nodded one after another. If it was said that they did not put Bailey Hongzhuang in their eyes before, then after this pill refining competition, Bailey Hongzhuang had entered their field of vision in a completely new manner. Even they could not ignore her. Third elder, I understand what you mean. Xiao Yanlong nodded. He actually had the same thoughts. In the past, he had always held Xiao Shou in the palm of his hand. As a result, Xiao Shou did not understand many things. On the contrary, she was very arrogant and overbearing. Originally, in his opinion, Xiao Shou only needed to cultivate in peace with her identity as the Holy Maiden of the Light. There was no need to pay too much attention to other people. However, now it seemed that it was not enough to be lacking in this aspect. He had to warn Xiao Shou. It's good that you understand, Master. However, the current situation needs to be discussed at length, the third elder sighed. With the current situation, they were truly in a terrible fix. Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun were undoubtedly the busiest elders in the Di family while they were waiting for their family members to arrive. This time, the clan had sent the largest number of cultivators to the immortal cloud mystic realm. As the clan's alchemists, they naturally had to do their best to refine pills for the clan's disciples so that they would have the ability to protect themselves in the immortal cloud mystic realm. Normally, there would not be many cultivators, and the medicinal pills in the clan would be sufficient. However, the number of pills this time was unprecedented, so the two of them were very busy. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was an 8th grade alchemist, they obviously wouldn't disturb Bailey Hongzhuang at this time. Even though they were very busy, they still had smiles on their faces all day. Looking at the thriving scene of their clan, they felt happy from the bottom of their hearts. Compared to the Di family's high-spirited atmosphere, the Jun family's atmosphere was completely different. Ever since the end of the alchemy competition, the Jun family had been filled with complaints. Originally, they would have been able to obtain dozens of spots. However, they did not expect that there would be nothing left in the end. Therefore, they could only try their best to obtain spots from other clans. Chapter 4780. Most importantly, even though they had offered enough benefits, it was still very difficult for them to obtain a slot. This was because the opportunity to train in the immortal cloud mystery land was very important to every family. Seeing that the Di family had so many slots that they could never use them all, it was very difficult for them to obtain even a single slot. One could imagine how depressed they were. The Di family is too despicable. Not only did they cheat us of all our slots, they also refused to let the other families exchange their slots with us. Jun Lingshuan's eyes were filled with anger. Recently, they had been given the cold shoulder too many times. Every time, they would shamelessly ask the other families to exchange their slots, only to be doused with a bucket of cold water. According to their understanding of the situation, the D family had exchanged their remaining slots with the other families. They had originally wanted to use this method to obtain a slot from the D family in the name of the other families. Who would have thought that the D family had already stated their conditions? No matter what, they could not exchange their slots with the Jun family. Most importantly, the D family had even threatened them with the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill. If any family gave their slots to them, they would not be able to exchange for the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill from the D family. Under such circumstances, almost no family was willing to exchange their slots with them. This time, it was indeed our mistake. The D family wanted to use this opportunity to suppress us. Jun Xuanqiao's face darkened. This situation was not beyond his expectations. In fact, if they had been the winners this time, they would never have given the D family a chance to make a comeback. Winner takes all. That was how it was. Then what should we do now? Jun Lingshuan frowned. It would be a pity to miss this opportunity to enter the Immortal Cloud Mystery Land. He had wholeheartedly wanted to enter the Immortal Cloud Mystery Land this time. If he missed out on a slot, he would not be able to accept this result. Jun Zitao and the others were also nervous. They had never thought that they would not be able to enter the Immortal Cloud Mystery Land. No one was willing to give up on this opportunity. Jun Xuanqiao's gaze swept across everyone. I will think of a way. Hearing this, everyone's hearts relaxed a little. They were most worried that the Great Elder would choose to give up. If that happened, they would have no chance at all. As long as the Great Elder did not give up, there was at least a glimmer of hope. Jun Xuanqiao's thoughts were very complicated. Based on the current situation, it was really not easy to exchange for a quota from other families. The only way was to find a way to get some quotas from a few clans that they were on good terms with. On the other hand, he might be able to give the Shao clan a try. After all, they were now in the same boat as the Shao family. Even if he couldn't get too many quotas, at least he had to find a way to get the most important members of his family in. After the efforts of Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen, they finally succeeded in making the 2 swords recognize them as their masters. Just as Elder Shui had warned, this process was indeed not easy. Even though they had spent a lot of effort to succeed, they were obviously very satisfied with this result. With this handy weapon, our battle prowess will increase by a notch. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly. She could feel that the silk cutter sword was one with her heart and soul, and she could wield it with ease. Chapter 4781. On this day, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen felt that there was a commotion outside and immediately walked out of the house. After they came out, they realized that Di Xiaofeng and the rest were all gathered here. At the same time, many disciples of the Di family were also gathered here. Obviously, all the disciples who were sent by the family to participate in the Immortal Cloud secret realm had arrived. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's faces lit up with joy. Second brother, second sister-in-law. When the group of disciples saw Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen, their eyes lit up and their faces were filled with eagerness and joy. Second sister-in-law, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have had the chance to enter the Immortal Cloud secret realm. Second brother, second sister-in-law, it's great that you're able to return to the family. That's right. In the past, we were always at a disadvantage when competing in pill refinement. Now that we have you, we don't have this weakness anymore. Now, everyone knew that it was all thanks to Bailey Hongzhuang that they were able to obtain a slot to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. When they thought about how they had complained about Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang, they felt extremely ashamed. Even more disciples were grateful to Bailey Hongzhuang from the bottom of their hearts because with their abilities, they would not have been able to enter. Even if the Di family and the Xiao family were still close, they would not have been able to enter. However, because of Bailey Hongzhuang, they had a chance. Hence, one could imagine how grateful they were. Even if they were all disciples of the Di family, their cultivation levels were different, their potential was different, and their cultivation resources were different as well. The Immortal Cloud's secret realm had undoubtedly given them a chance. If they could perform well here, they would be treated differently in the future. Feeling everyone's heartfelt gratitude, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes also showed a trace of a smile. She never thought that she would win the recognition of the disciples of the family as well as the entry slot for the family. She was well aware of everyone's complaints. However, she also understood that this matter was indeed inseparable from her. Now, the resentment in everyone's hearts was obviously gone. Although these people had complained about her before, she had never taken it to heart. Because to the other members of the Di family, she was indeed a stranger. Because their own existence affected their interests, anyone would feel resentful if they were in their shoes. After this incident, I don't think everyone will be the same as before. Don't mention it, everyone. This is what I should do. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. When the crowd saw how graceful Hongzhuang was, they secretly sighed in their hearts. They were really short-sighted before. Previously, I thought that second sister-in-law wasn't good enough for second brother. Now it seems that I'm really short-sighted. That's right. Now everyone knows that our second sister-in-law is a genius alchemist. Even Ouyang Jifeng can't compare to her. You don't know how embarrassing Xiao Sou was in the pill refining competition this time. She didn't have the demeanor of a great family at all. Instead, she seemed very petty. Everyone shook their heads. Although they had just arrived at Water Chi City not long ago, they had already understood the general situation from the others. Most importantly, when they had arrived at Water Chi City, they had clearly noticed the envious gazes of the other families. Chapter 4782. The weather was clear, and the sun was shining brightly. Today was the day that everyone would head to the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. Thus, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were already prepared to leave early in the morning. Wen Ziren, Shengguan Yingying, Mo Yunjue, and Ao Lingxiao were all standing beside Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang. According to their original plan, they were prepared to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm directly before coming out. However, they remembered that the Di family had sent a huge team this time. If they were to appear rashly, everyone would discover the existence of the Chaos Ring. It just so happened that they had a lot of places in their hands this time. Bailey Hongzhuang kept 4 of the remaining 10 places, and the other 6 were auctioned off at the auction house in exchange for a lot of cultivation resources. Of course, the people from the Di family were also present at the auction to prevent the people from the Jun family from winning the bid. Previously, the Jun family had set such a huge trap for them, and they were almost finished this time. In addition, they were certain that the person who tried to assassinate Di Beichen and Di Xiaofeng was related to the Jun family. Both sides were already at daggers drawn. Therefore, the Di family would definitely not give the Jun family any chance. Not only that, they had already made up their minds. If the Jun family still sent people into the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, they would definitely not be polite. The other party secretly tried to assassinate their successor. It was simply too abominable. If they seized the opportunity, they would also give the Jun family a fatal blow. Di Chuyuan looked at the group of young disciples of the Di family standing in front of him, and a trace of pride appeared in his eyes. Today, you will be heading to the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. Although this slot is very rare, in reality, it is not a paradise. On the contrary, you may encounter a lot of dangers when you go. Fortunately, there are more disciples in our family this time. I hope that you can unite and help each other, and return safely. Di Chuyuan's gaze was deep. Every time they went to the Immortal Cloud's secret realm to train, it was inevitable that some disciples of the family would die. In the history of the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, it was not unprecedented for an entire team to be wiped out. However, if the young disciples wanted to grow, they would definitely have to go through these experiences. As elders, they could only try their best to help the disciples improve their ability to protect themselves. As for other dangers, they could not share the burden for their disciples. Great Elder, rest assured that we will return safely. Everyone said one after another. As disciples of aristocratic families, they knew from a young age that if they wanted to obtain something, they would have to pay a price. In the face of danger, they had never thought of it. At the same time, the 7th elder and the 8th elder distributed the elixirs that they had refined during this period of time equally to every disciple of the clan. Here are some medicinal pills that we have carefully prepared for you, including healing pills, chi recovery pills, and so on. You can take a closer look later in case you need them. The expressions of Di Yunhe and Qin Wentian sank. The dangers of the Immortal Cloud's secret realm were unpredictable. These people before them were all good seedlings of their clans. They only hoped that they would be able to return safely. Thank you, elders. Everyone's eyes were filled with emotions. They understood that the elders of their families wanted them to be safe. However, they were similarly aware that danger and opportunity coexisted, and they only hoped to be able to turn danger into safety. Chapter 4783. After bidding farewell to the elders, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest walked towards the gathering place. When they arrived, they found that the disciples of the various large clans had already gathered here. There were also many groups slowly approaching from afar. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze fell on the huge flying magic tool at the front. Her eyes were filled with shock. This is a flying magic tool. The size of the flying magic tool in front of her was completely beyond her imagination. On this flying magic tool, it wouldn't be a problem for hundreds of thousands of people to stand on it. If it wasn't for the fact that she was standing at this moment and could see clearly, she would only feel that she was on flat ground after stepping on this flying magic tool. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's shocked expression, Di Xiaofeng nodded and smiled. That's right, this is the biggest flying magic tool. We will need 3 months to go to the Immortal Cloud's secret realm this time. There are many rooms on this flying magic tool, and each of us will have our own room. Not only that, standing on this flying magic tool is like standing on flat ground. You won't feel like you're moving at all. After seeing such a terrifying scene, Xiren and the rest didn't know what to say. The things from the upper realm are really eye-opening. The last time I saw a flying magic tool, I was already very surprised. I didn't expect there to be such a huge flying magic tool. This is too terrifying, Xiren shrugged. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe it at all. Shangguan Yingying nodded. Indeed, how does this look like a flying magic tool? I feel that such a huge thing can't be moved at all. Mo Yinjue just silently sized up the surrounding environment, taking in everything around him. In his opinion, nothing was impossible. However, he still sighed. He didn't expect the upper realm to be so much more advanced than the lower realm. Oh right, why don't we just use the teleportation array directly? Shangguan Yingying couldn't help but ask the question in her heart. Because the Immortal Cloud's secret realm we're going to is actually not stable in one place, but in a region. That is a small world created by a powerful being. It often floats in the air, but due to some spatial laws, it only exists in that area. It will take some time for us to find it even if we take a flying magic tool. Di Xiaofeng heard Sheng Guanying's doubts and explained. Hearing this, everyone finally understood what was going on. So that's how it is. Sheng Guanying suddenly understood. She stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, "It seems that I thought too simply." Di Xiaofeng smiled faintly and said, "It's normal. When I first learned about the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, I had the same question." Sheng Guanying smiled brightly. She knew that Di Xiaofeng was giving her a way out. While they were talking, Bailey Yunyan and the others also quickly walked over. Earlier, when Di Xiaofeng gave her the quota, he told her that when she arrived at the gathering place, she should go with them directly to avoid any trouble. Therefore, when Bailey Yunyan came today, she did not hesitate and directly went to Di Xiaofeng's side. Seeing Bailey Yunyan, Di Xiaofeng smiled and said, "Yunyan, you're here." Chapter 4784. The other 9 children of the Bailey family who followed behind Bailey Yunyan had mixed feelings at this moment. They were a little surprised and a little panicked. When the elder gave them the quota before, they were still in disbelief. Until now, they really believed that all this was true. But from this point of view, they also increasingly believed in Di Xiaofeng's feelings for Bailey Yunyan. As a matter of fact, this Immortal Cloud's secret realm quota was extremely precious. Even if it was sold at an auction, it could be sold at a sky-high price. This time, Di Xiaofeng had given them a total of 10 spots. The value of this was self-evident. Lin Yi also noticed the appearance of Bailey Yunyan. In fact, she already knew that Di Xiaofeng gave the quota to Bailey Yunyan, but seeing the other party standing in front of her at this moment, she still felt a little uncomfortable. Lin Qianshan had been standing beside Lin Yi. After seeing Bailey Yunyan appear, she began to talk to divert Lin Yi's attention. "Sister, you don't have to worry about me. I understand." Lin Yi noticed that Lin Qianshan was trying to divert her attention, and she couldn't help but feel warm in her heart. Although it was impossible for the person she liked to be with her in the future, at least her family was very concerned about her. Listening to Lin Yi's words, Lin Qianshan sighed, and her gaze became softer. She found that since Lin Yi saw Bailey Yunyan last time, she locked herself in the room for a long time. When she came out later, she felt that Lin Yi had grown a lot compared to before. In the past, Lin Yi was more carefree, but now she obviously began to have her own worries and thoughts. As her sister, Lin Qianshan didn't know whether such a change was good or bad. She only hoped that Lin Yi was happy. "Although I still can't accept it now, I believe I will accept it sooner or later." Lin Yi's lips pulled out a smile, but anyone could see the reluctance in this smile. Di Xiaofeng naturally also worried about the existence of Lin Yi, so he didn't show too much enthusiasm. He understood that his actions this time really hurt Lin Yi's heart, but the other party's reaction was beyond his expectations. He didn't expect Lin Yi to accept this matter so calmly. She didn't pester him at all, which was far from his original idea. But the more it was like this, the more guilty he felt because he found that the smile on Lin Yi's face had decreased a lot during this time. He was clearly a happy person, but he suddenly stopped smiling. How could he not blame himself? At the same time, many teams were surprised when they saw Bailey Yunyan and the others. Why did so many people from the Bailey family come this time? Could it be that they want to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm as well? It can't be, right? The Bailey family is just an ordinary family. Their alchemist's level is not high enough. They have already betrayed him in the alchemy competition. It's impossible for them to have so many slots. But from the looks of it, it's obvious that they want to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. And that Bailey Yunyan doesn't seem to have a simple relationship with Di Xiaofeng. Everyone's expression changed slightly. They didn't know that Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan had such a close relationship. Di Xiaofeng was very calm about this. Chapter 4785. Not long after, several figures appeared and attracted the attention of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Jun Lingxuan walked at the front. From the moment he appeared, his gaze fell on Di Xiaofeng and the others. His cold and angry gaze was filled with murderous intent. The grievances he had suffered during this period made him hate the Di family to the bone. Oh, Jun Lingxuan's luck is not bad. He even has the chance to participate in the Divine Cloud secret territory. Di Xiaofeng's lips curled into a mocking smile. The appearance of the Jun family here was not beyond his expectations. After all, the Jun family was also a big family. Although the Di family had interfered a lot in the process, they were still unable to prevent the other party from obtaining a few spots. If it were any other day, the Jun family's disciples would have come in a very large group. However, the entire Jun family only had 10 spots, which was enough to make them a laughing stock in the eyes of everyone. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others turned to Jun Lingxuan and the others, surprise flashed in their eyes, but it was replaced by calmness. Master, I didn't expect the Jun family to get a spot. Xiao Hei's eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. She hoped that no one from the Jun family would come. The Jun family has been around for so many years, so they naturally have their methods. It will be very difficult to prevent them from getting a single spot. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a thoughtful light. According to her original judgment, the Jun family could get 3 or 4 spots, which was possible. However, it would not be easy to get 10 spots. After all, these spots were very scarce. Coupled with the attraction of the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill, any family that did not have a close relationship with the Jun family would not trade their spots with them. Beichen, do you think they got their spots from the Xiao family? Bailey Hongzhuang turned to look at Di Beichen. She felt that the Xiao family was the most likely. This time, the Xiao family had also obtained quite a number of quotas in the pill refining competition. Their family already had enough quotas, so it wouldn't be a problem for them to give up some quotas to the Jun family. Most importantly, the Jun family and the Xiao family were already on the same side. If the Xiao family didn't help the Jun family at this time, their alliance wouldn't be so stable. Di Beichen smiled faintly. It seems that my wife has the same thoughts as me. At the same time, on the other side, Di Xiaofeng quietly said, if the Xiao family doesn't tie themselves to the Jun family now, it's equivalent to offending us and the Jun family at the same time. They won't do such a bad deal. Actually, it's also good to have a few people from their family come. Otherwise, how can we take revenge for them plotting against us? Di Xiaofeng's eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. He had always hated people plotting against him. Previously, under the ambush of the Jun family, he almost lost his life. Although he had never expressed this debt, he remembered it clearly in his heart. After entering the Immortal Cloud secret realm this time, as long as there was a chance, he would settle this debt with Jun Lingxuan and the others. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. She also remembered this debt clearly. At that time, if it weren't for her good luck, they would all have died. Towards people who wanted to take her life, she would never be soft-hearted. Di Xiaofeng, do you think that no one from our Jun family can come this time? Jun Lingxuan looked at Di Xiaofeng coldly. But unfortunately, I'll have to disappoint you. Chapter 4786. With your Jun family's background, there should be at least a few dozen people coming. This time, there are only 10 people, which is already embarrassing enough. I'm not as wicked as you guys who like to be ruthless. I have to leave some opportunities for small fries, right? Di Xiaofeng's handsome face was filled with a sunny smile, but his words were full of sarcasm. Jun Lingxuan's face suddenly sank, and his eyes became gloomy and cold. If it wasn't for your Di family deliberately releasing false information, how could we be in this situation? Don't put all the blame on us, Gu Ruoyan said. Di Xiaofeng's lips curved into a mocking smile. We didn't say anything. Besides, with so many families, how could your family be the only one who fell for it? What's more, we didn't want to make a bet with you at that time. You came to us and arrogantly said that you must bet. We were just fulfilling your wish. Right? Beichen. Di Beichen raised his eyebrows. Second young master Jun emphasized that if I don't agree, then I'm not a man. Since you insist on betting, I naturally have no reason to refuse. But now that the bet is over, your reaction doesn't seem to be manly enough. Listening to Di Beichen's words, everyone seemed to recall the situation of the bet that day. Suddenly, a smile appeared in their eyes. When they saw Di Beichen and Jun Zitao's bet, the Di family was very anxious. Now, it seemed that Di Beichen was completely confident at that time, but on the surface, he looked indignant. Just this acting alone was enough to make them admire him. Jun Zitao's face was extremely ugly. It was because of this matter that he had been blamed by the rest of the family for a long time. Now that Di Beichen suddenly mentioned it, he suddenly remembered how stupid he was that day. He was clearly sold by the other party, but he was still counting the money for the other party. It's just a win or loss, you don't need to be too proud. We'll see in the future. Jun Lingxuan knew that they had already suffered a loss in this matter. There was no benefit in continuing to talk about it, so he simply ended the topic. However, they would remember this matter in their hearts. Sooner or later, they would make the other party pay. Just as they were talking, the Xiao clan's team slowly arrived. Xiao Shou was still walking at the front of the group, and the way she was surrounded by so many people proved her position in the Xiao family. Her youthful and beautiful face was shrouded in a confident luster, as if the events of the past few days had not affected her at all. However, when her gaze landed on Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, a look of disgust and hatred flashed across her eyes. Ever since the last incident, she had been taught a harsh lesson by her father. Since she was young, she had never been reprimanded like this. Her father almost never said any harsh words to her, but this time, he did not give her any face, which made her feel very wronged. Of course, she would never reveal this point. Previously, she had lost a round to Bailey Hongzhuang, but there was still plenty of time in the future. After going to the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, she would think of a way to win a round. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced indifferently at Xiao Shou and did not pay much attention to her. She no longer had any interest in this defeated opponent. Very quickly, after the disciples of the various families who were going to participate in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm had arrived, the crowd gradually walked up to the deck of the giant flying device. Chapter 4787. Hearing this, Mo Yunjue's expression changed slightly. Don't we need to go in? According to his judgment, although this flying artifact was huge, its cultivation speed should not be slow. If they were to stand outside like this, the wind speed should be very shocking. Even if their cultivation was not weak, it would still be troublesome. Don't worry. Di Xiaofeng naturally understood what Mo Yunjue was worried about. Although the influence of the wind is very scary, this giant artifact has a protective array which weakens the power by a lot. However, it hasn't completely dissipated. Standing on top of it will also have a tempering effect and resist the influence of the wind. Who knows, we might even be able to comprehend the true essence of the wind here. I see. Mo Yunjue's deep black eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. I didn't think that there would be such a cultivation method. The many cultivation methods in the upper realm are really eye-opening. When Xiren's face was full of smiles, although we haven't entered the immortal cloud secret realm yet, the current situation has already given us a lot of benefits. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen could not help but look at each other after noticing this scene. Fortunately, Xiren and the others had come directly, otherwise, they would have missed out on some experience. The people of the lower realm are really country bumpkins. They don't even know about this, how laughable. Jun Zitao looked at Xiren and the others who had not seen the world and could not help but mock them. These people should be Bailey Hongzhuang's friends. I didn't think that you would be so generous to give the quota to these people from the lower realm. Xiao Sou's gaze was full of contempt and the corner of her lips curled into a faint sneer. However, you thought that you were giving them a chance, but you didn't think that this could very well cause them to lose their lives. This place is where genius cultivators gather. If some shrimps go there, they'll only be sending themselves to their deaths. When Xiren and the others clearly did not think that their inquiry would cause such a reaction and their faces instantly turned ugly. Most importantly, the other party's contempt and ridicule made them very unhappy. Eldest Miss Xiao, you don't have to worry about us. You're always worrying about this and that. You're such a busybody. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze was cold. No wonder you would ally yourself with the Jun family. Your temperaments are really compatible. I'm just reminding you out of goodwill. Xiao Sou's eyes were gloomy. Don't lose your life. It'll be too late for regrets. I already said that I don't need you to remind me. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. If you have the time, why don't you think about yourself? You have the title of the successor of the Saintess of Light, but you haven't really inherited it yet. You must be lacking something, right? Bailey Hongzhuang's clear and melodious voice was accompanied by a chuckle, but her eyes were cold. Xiao Sou liked to make trouble for her, and she was already used to it. However, now that Xiao Sou pointed the finger at their friend, they couldn't let it go. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the other cultivators present could not help but voice their opinions. Bailey Hongzhuang is right. Xiao Sou has been holding this title for a long time, but she hasn't really become the Saintess of Light yet. It's indeed a little strange. I've had my suspicions for a long time. There must be some problems. The position of the Saintess of Light has been vacant for a long time. The Holy Light Assembly must be hoping that someone will take over as soon as possible. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.